Hello students, let's take a look at how to adjust AutoCAD after you install it. This is made for the summer class 2020, however it's applicable to all students. So in the modules area, in the course outline, reference material, and procedures, you'll find a document down here that says adjust AutoCAD after you install it. And the idea behind that is that you want your computer at home to match the way that the computers at the lab work when you're on the main campus. So that's the idea here. So what we have for you in this checklist, I can bring it up here, but I have it open on the other screen too. So this is the little checklist. I'm bringing it over here. All right. So again, this is, we would like you to sign it, do the workstation in the lab, do it at your home, and then bring it back for grade. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go over how you should handle this document at your house. Again, it was in the modules for your class, in the references and procedures area, and it's down here at the bottom. Join the education, install it, and then adjust it. Okay, and this video that you're watching now will be this link here. I'm replacing this older one now. All right, so let's take a look at that. Start up AutoCAD. And I've got it off on the other screen. At this point, you should probably have a copy from me in your hand. If not, if you're doing this at home before you come to your first class, then you might have a copy of it on your screen or in your hand. All right, so I'm just going to start up AutoCAD. I'm going to go through the list. I have it on the opposite side. So the first thing that it wants to do is there's an area up here in AutoCAD called the Quick Access Toolbar. This that you're dropping down here, this is the applications menu, and adjacent to that, going towards the right here, is this quick little toolbar that allows you to get access to many of the features we're going to use all day, every day in the lab. At the end of this look-in window here, you can see here, I'm going to reset it the way it will be at your house. In your house, there will be no layers. In your house, there will be no workspace. And in your house, there will be no match props. So I'm going to take those three out. So it will look like this. Okay, so what I want you to do, again, this share is for like a mobile application, but this button here, right adjacent to this, let's say it's at the end of the line of the quick access toolbar. There's a little drop down list. These check marks indicate which ones will be available to you to grab quickly and access them quickly. And we want to click and make sure that we have a check mark for workspace. Drop it down. Match properties. Drop it down. And layer. Drop it down. Okay. So make sure when you drop down that final one that you take a peek at that and make sure that you have those three present. Now each of these three will reset based on this workspace. So when we drop this down, I'm talking about this workspace. I'll explain that to you right now. This little drop down window has AutoCAD's workspaces. A workspace is a collection of tools and arrangements and just recorded with an arbitrary name. So let's say my name is Jeff. Okay, these areas here are all of the tools that I like. Where do I want them? How do I want them to be arranged? This is a tab and a ribbon. We'll go into that in classroom. But once I have it, then I drop this down. And then I say save this current arrangement as Jeff. So now every time Jeff comes to the lab, he can drop this down. I'm going to pick 3D modeling. You can see the beautiful arrangement for 3D modeling. And then here comes Jeff, and then here's Jeff's arrangement of the tools for his class. So the point I'm trying to make there is once you have done those three workspace, match prop, and layers, it will reset if you drop down and grab this workspace again. It'll change and reset. So the best thing to do once you have those three down is to drop down the list and pick save as and then put in your first name, and then that will allow you to save that collection. Okay, then hit save. All right, so that was the first item that we wanted to make sure that you did once you have AutoCAD installed. And then you can put your little check mark, check mark, check mark, and you have those three added to your quick access toolbar area. The next thing is we want to do is we want to dock the status bar. I'm looking for where to drop the status bar. It says here once you docked it, is it talking about the status? Oh yeah, the command line. So right there, that little dotted area there, that it's called, I refer to that as a stipple, like a little stipple from a machine shop. Little, it's actually a grab handle, and he's grabbing the command line. And what we want to do is grab the command line and then save that as our workspace. And I can see him overwriting the workspace. So this is a good lesson plan for you. So I'll show you this first. Let me move this over. So here's the command line. See where it says type a command? And that's the stippled grab bar. When you install it at your home, it's not going to be docked at the bottom here, which is going to be a problem for you because at the school it's always going to be docked, and he doesn't allow as much interface, and you'll come to see what that means later, but he doesn't allow as much interface when he floats around. So I'm going to grab his grab handle. I'm going to bring him down, and as I bring him down towards the bottom, you see him change shape. I'm just holding my pick button on him, and I'm dragging him down. And then once he changes shape, you can just let him go, and he docks himself. Now once he's docked, we want to step on top of, again, let's say I'm Jeff. I'll save as, drop down Jeff, and then hit save, and then overwrite on top of Jeff, just making Jeff's workspace that much better. Each time you change something, if you say, well, I like this over here, then you would drop that down, save as Jeff, and then forevermore, Jeff would have that feature set on his computer. So the drafting will not contain that there at that element. 3D Basics, here's Jeff, and then his tool will be back. Okay, so that's how and what this lesson plan is saying here when he says overwrite. So once you dock the command line, then overwrite your workspace. And I think what we've been saying throughout this lesson plan is to just keep writing on top of drafting and annotation. But if you want to use your name, your first name, then you can do that. That's certainly it's not a problem. At the school, you'll be using drafting and annotation, but at your home, you can use the one with your name. All right, the next thing we want to do here is we want to take a look at the colors of the background of AutoCAD. Okay, so that colors of AutoCAD on the background are covered by a command called Options. I'm going to drop down the Applications menu. You'll see Options. I'm going to right click while my cursor is in the command line. You'll see Options. I'm going to type in OP for the shortcut to Options. So you get it all over the place. AutoCAD really wants you to have access to the options. Within those options, you can change the color. I'm going to just close this for just a minute. I'm going to show you. Here's your model space where drafting is done, and then these layouts are referred to as paper space. So model space, you'll notice here, is black, but has a black background, and then you come here and it has a white background. You say, okay, well, I like the black background. I'm getting used to it from the lab, so I want my workspace, paper space, to be white as well. I'm going to move this back up, and I'm going to tell Jeff he doesn't need that anymore. That way there, when I reset Jeff, it won't bring that up anymore. And then I'm going to change the background so they both match black color. So I touch in the command line, right click, Options, the Display tab. These are all your tabs across the top for the options of AutoCAD. And then right here is a color button. The color button will allow me to change. These are the motifs, and AutoCAD refers to them in the context of 2D model, in the context of layout. You'll see the word layout. Then you can change and modify all of these elements within AutoCAD. For us, we're just interested in a uniform background at this time. But here for the uniform background for the 2D model is black, and for the paper space, we want that to be black as well. We hit OK, we hit Apply, Close, and then put a check mark on this area for your practicing of your colors. Now the next setting we want to do is some typing, right? So when you go into AutoCAD, the F12, your function key on your computer, is going to cause AutoCAD to behave in a way where you begin typing your commands, and you see it coming up right where my cursor is. By default, AutoCAD has the commands coming up at the area where you draft. And that's difficult for me to teach it to you that way. And there's a few other caveats about coordinate entry that makes it more difficult to teach you. So we want to suppress or disable its ability to write out here on screen and cause it to write 100% of the time in the command line. See what it says type of command? That's referred to as your command line. So to do that, you use function key F12, and then you'll never see him type up here on the screen again. Okay, so really all you need to do is hit F12 on your computer, and then go ahead and bring your sheet back in and sign off F12. Okay, if you went opposite and you hit it twice and you can't tell, then just start typing. If he's typing on the screen, then you know you have to hit F12 again. The next one is called Pick Auto. Pick Auto is going to allow you to have a lasso type selection process. I'll show you what that looks like. Very difficult to work with, but it is the default of AutoCAD Pick Auto. It's going to be a 5 on your home computer, and it looks like this when you go to pick. See that? This is referred to as a lasso. It's very hard to pick your objects when he's curving around like that. So we want to disable that ability and go Pick Auto. Instead of 5, set it to a 1. Okay, and then at that point, you'll only be able to draw rectangles. And that's going to prove to be much more common for you, much easier for you. I noticed that I have a magenta color here for my command lines. I mean, for my crosshairs. See that? I'm going to change that. Yours would be white on your home, so I want it to match your home computer. All right, so once I change the Pick Auto to 1 instead of 5, you can sign it off. The next one is Pick Drag. Pick Drag is the ability to simplify selecting objects in AutoCAD, and it's used through the mouse. So I'm going to walk you through this area here. You can see it's again in Options, and I want you to make these changes to the Options dialog box, and then come back here and sign this off. I'm going to change Pick Drag to a 1. I'm going to type OP Enter for options. Okay, so there are actually 2 here, right? Pick Drag goes to 1, and then we come in and make this setting here. In the options, you go to User Preferences, right-click Customization, and yours will not have this check mark. Put a check mark in there, and leave the 250 milliseconds alone. That's 1/4 of 1 second. And I'll explain that in the classroom instead of here in the video. Just do it. You go to the Options dialog box. You go to the User Preferences, right-click Customization, and put a check mark here in the time-sensitive right-click. Okay? So in that case, you had 2 features you changed. You Pick Drag was probably set to a 2 at your house. I want that to be set to a 1. And in the Options dialog box, right-click and change this to, put that check mark on so you have time-sensitive right-click. And that'll match the lab. Once you have that in there, come back up, sign off. Looks like you got a single sign off here. Oh, and that's the end of the document. So that sign off will have to be returned to Options. Doesn't look like you really have a sign off here, but maybe this is it. Let me count these for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, just put an initial next to it if it doesn't have a line. Okay, so that looks like that is it. So that's a much better video than the one you had from 2017. That didn't go into each of the elements. The elements will be explained in class. Please don't assume that that was your lesson plan on those features, but it assures you that you match the school, and as you learn AutoCAD, you'll have the support of your home computer and your lab computer, and they'll match. All right? Have a great semester.